This is lesson 13 of geometry, and we are problem solving today, and we are going to be learning a strategy to solve a problem. A strategy is a way to do something, and if there is a way to do something like a recipe, then maybe we'll have better luck at our problem solving. And our strategy today is to solve a simpler problem. Looking at the background behind our title cards, I see rectangles and I see squares. Makes me think I'll probably be using those things that I've learned before in geometry to do some problem solving, and I'm going to be solving a simple problem first. Let's go on to our next slide here. Here's our problem. Margaret made this design with rectangles. If the smallest rectangle has an area of 2 units, what is the area of the whole design? Well, usually when students encounter a problem like this, the first thing they say is, I don't get it. Well, there's a strategy for helping us get it. Let's go on and see if we can figure out this strategy. There's our problem. Here is our figure. I'm going to move that aside and take a look over here on the left. There is a strategy using 4 steps to help solve this problem. Let's take our first step here is number 1. And the first step, read. Many times I'll say to students, did you read it? Well, I think maybe we'll have to read it a little bit more carefully. Our second step is to plan. Our third step is to solve. And our fourth step is to check. This is our strategy. Read, plan, solve, and check. Well, let's go on to that first step, is to read. Again, this is where students tend not to do so well. And if you don't do this part well, then the rest of it isn't going to happen very easily either. So if we read, let's see, Margaret made this design with rectangles. Oh, okay, so I see some rectangles there. And I know a rectangle has parallel sides, and that 2 of the sides are equal rectangles, 4 sides. Okay, I got that figured out. And then if the smallest rectangle has an area of 2 square units, well, let's pause there for a second. I know that's not the end of the statement, but the smallest rectangle, give myself a chance to think when I read this, has 2 square units. Well, the smallest rectangle, we've got a green one, we've got a blue one, and we've got it must be this red one, has an area of 2 square units. So, if I just cut that, I see, 2 square units right there. And let's go on and finish reading now. What is the area of the whole design? Okay, so that means I want to know not just the area of this, but I need to know the area of the whole thing. Okay, reading is critical. I need to understand what they're asking me. Let's go on to the next step. A plan. Okay, let's see what our plan is here. This is where our strategy comes into play. Solve a simpler problem. It must have something to do with that red rectangle. If the red rectangle is 2 square units, then I'll use that as a guide to help me figure out what the rest of them are. So let's go on and solve that now. That's our third step, solving that. Again, recalling what I read. The red rectangle, small rectangle, is 2 square units. And if I'm looking at that red rectangle, I'm going to go to the green one here, and I'm going to cut this green one right here. And it looks to me like, let me see if I can move that line down just a bit here, that red rectangle is 2 square units. Okay, and I'm going to put that up here, 2 square units. I'll just put that up there like that. And so now I'm looking at the green rectangle, and if I can put one red rectangle on the top layer and another one down here, well, that would be 2, and 2 is so the green one must be 4 square units. And then let's take a look at that blue rectangle. I think that that red rectangle one would fit here, another one would fit there, and it looks like 3 red rectangles would fit in the space of those blue, or that blue rectangle. And if the red one is 2, it'd be a 2 here, and a 2 here, and a 2 here. 3 times 2 is 6 square units. Margaret made this figure, and she wants to know how many square units the whole figure is. We used that red one as a guide, and now we have to add those up. 2 and 4 is 6, and 6 and 6 is 12. So I'm saying that this figure is 12 square units. I solved it by using doing a simpler problem first. Square units. Let me finish that there. Let's go to that fourth and final step, and this one is to check it. With the Smartboard, what I can do is I'm going to ungroup these here first of all, since I have them grouped up, and I want to use just the red rectangle, and I'm going to put that over here on top of the green one. Oh yes, and I'm checking to see, yes, I thought that this one was, bring that into the front here, bring forward. I thought that this one, oh, still doesn't want to come forward. Let's try one more time. Bring forward, bring to front. How about that? Okay, we'll put that here. Okay, I can see that there's a rectangle here and a rectangle there, and 2 and 2. So that works. Let's rotate that one, and we'll put it this way. 1, maybe I'll just put a little mark there to kind of help me figure out how close I am. And another one, 2. Oh, and I can already see that, yes, the third one will fit in there. So I checked my work. My answer is correct. Let's go on to another problem. We're going to use that same strategy by solving a simpler problem. And remember, it has 4 steps. Let's go to the problem. It says, Art wants to cover this design with red squares. He needs 4 red squares to cover each blue square. How many red squares does Art need to cover the whole design? Well, let's go on. We're going to use our same 4 steps in our strategies. Read the problem, plan, solve, and check. Okay, to read first, let's do that important step. Art wants to cover this design with red squares. Wait a minute, they're blue and green. What about that red square thing? That gives us a question, doesn't it? Let's read a little further. He needs 4 red squares to cover each blue square. Oh, 4 red squares cover 1 blue square. How many red squares does Art need to cover the whole design? Okay, I think I've read it now. I want to know how many red squares that are going to cover the whole design. Okay, my plan is, solve a simpler problem. It has something to do with that red square. If I figure out how many red squares go in a blue square, then I think I might be on the right track. Let's go on and see if I can solve that. If I know that there's 1, 2, 3, 4 red squares in each blue square, and if those blue squares fit in the green square, let's see, I think if I just divide this green square like this, I can see that, oh, yeah, those blue squares are about the same as that. And so if 4 red squares fit into a blue square and 4 blue squares fit in here, see, that's 4 red squares go here. So I'm going to put a 4 right here because there's 4 red squares in that space. 1 blue square, but 4 red squares. And there's 4 red squares in this space, and 4 over here, and 4 over here. And I would just add those up, or since we're good at multiplying, we can say 4 times 4 equals 16 square units. And then if we take a look at our next step, or our next problem-solving strategy, we have to check. Let's see. I need to go back and get that red square, I think. Let me just grab that red square. I'm going to copy that and see if I can take that to the next page. Let's see here. There's my red square. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and I'm going to move this one here. 1, 2, yeah, that's about right. And this one goes down here, 3, 4. Oh yeah, so if there's 4 of these in the blue, 4 blues in the green, 4 times 4 is correct. And my answer was 16 square units. Now I have here something that you maybe could try. Since I have a smartboard, I can use these shapes and just move them around, but you might be able to, if you're using some shapes, maybe you could cut the shapes out and lay them on top. So I've got a little scissors icon here for us as part of our checking of our strategy. Let's go on to our homework assignment for tonight. This is page 123. There's more information and a couple more problems on 326 and 327. We were working on problem solving and a strategy for today, and it is to solve a simpler problem first. Here's our instructions. Solve each problem and explain the method you used. If needed, do all your work on a separate sheet of paper. That might be handy. And I did include an extra copy of 123. It's right after this one, of course. So if you need to do any cutting, you can cut on that one and use it to do your final stages of your problem-solving strategy. Remember, our strategy has 4 steps. They're to read it and to plan what you're going to do to solve it, and then finally to check it. Of all those, the first one is where students who have difficulty solving problems need to spend extra time. Make sure you take each sentence one at a time to understand what it says first before you go on. Here's some more instructions. Solve a simpler problem first to solve each problem. Use the design at the right. Okay, here's our design over here for exercises 1, 2, and 3. And they are going to talk about checkerboard rectangle. Okay, this is a checkerboard right here. And they may talk about a polka dot rectangle. Okay, that's this one over here. We don't have colors on here like we had in our smartboard examples. We had red squares and blue ones and green ones, but here we have some patterns: checkerboards, stripes, and polka dots. Well, good luck with your problem-solving strategy, solving a simpler problem by using these 4 steps. I look forward to seeing your homework tomorrow as we conclude our unit on geometry.